This is Tyson Fury, aka the Gypsy King, undisputed, undefeated Ring Magazine heavyweight champion of the world. I just heard David Haye pulled out against Tony Bellew. I'll be ready, willing and waiting to fight Tony Bellew May 5th, O2 Arena, London. Like I said before, Tony, you want to fight a real man, you want to fight the best heavyweight in the world, the heavyweight that beat everybody else, the heavyweight that never lost a fight, the real heavyweight champion of the world. And we're ready and waiting. They call you the Bomber, I call you the Bell End. Be no contest, one uppercut, ceiling job. If you think you can do any different, prove it wrong. And you can bring your mate as well, Big Doss or David Price.
Welcome back to Keep It Real Boxing. This is Cypher Box, and what I want to talk about here is Tony Bellew. Now, as you know, Tony Bellew versus David Haye for December 17th has been cancelled or postponed, whichever way you want to look at it. David Haye has stated that he may be fit to fight Tony Bellew in March or May, but we don't know that for definite yet. But he's saying potentially it'll be that long before he's ready to fight or step into the ring. As you saw from the video I just showed you from Tyson Fury's Instagram page, he's called out Tony Bellew and said, let's get it on May 5th. Tyson Fury is still the recognised Ring Magazine lineal champion, still holding that belt. And as you can see from the tweet on the page, on the screen, Dillian Whyte has called out Tony Bellew once again. And it says, I apologise to all the people that the fake heavyweight act Tony Bellew has let down by not having the balls to fight me and save the December show at Sky Sports Boxing. The man's a coward. So Dillian Whyte has thrown his name in there again. As always, you know what? Gotta rate Dillian Whyte, because you know what? The one thing you can't deny Dillian Whyte is that he's willing to fight anyone, anywhere, anytime, even last minute. And this is very last minute. It's only a few weeks away, December 17th. You know, you're looking at what, 3-4 weeks away? And he's willing to step in there with Tony Bellew and take him on. I mean, we all know that Dillian Whyte's been chasing Wilder. That fight's not going to happen. It's not going to materialise anytime soon. You know, and the reasons for that is simple. Deontay Wilder has just had his mandatory fight, his mandatory defence against Romain Stavern. So the WBC is not going to order another mandatory challenge or defence from Deontay Wilder anytime soon. They have already stated that they're fully supporting Deontay Wilder in terms of his chase to unify the division and fight Anthony Joshua. Not only that, he's now allowed to pick a voluntary defence if fights with Joseph Parker and Deontay Wilder don't materialise. So, you know, Dillian Whyte isn't the mandatory challenger. That hasn't been confirmed by the WBC. He'll probably have to have an elimination fight with someone to get that position. And, you know, it's going to be a long process before he gets that opportunity with Wilder, should he remain as the number one WBC contender. Now, when you look at Tony Bellew, this is a great opportunity for him with Dillian Whyte. Dillian Whyte's the WBC number one contender. Yeah? Which means, you know, this ends up being a bit of a high profile fight in that sense, that you've got a great opportunity here to fight and then potentially beat. I'm not saying he will beat Dillian Whyte, but if you could get a victory against Dillian Whyte, that's the WBC number one contender. That helps your position and your standings within the rankings. So again, why wouldn't you want to take that fight? You know, it's a win-win situation. You beat Dillian Whyte, you get to keep fighting on December 17th against a top quality opponent. Plus, if you win, you've just beaten the WBC number one contender. Remember, Tony Bellew is number 6 in the WBC rankings. So if you beat Dillian Whyte, this only helps your standing and your position within that ranking. You're going to move higher up, and it potentially opens the doors to bigger fights. Now, he stated he doesn't want to fight Deontay Wilder anymore. He said he wanted to fight Joseph Parker. He's not chasing that fight. He won't fight Anthony Joshua because Anthony Joshua is his mate. You know. So what are you doing in the heavyweight division? Like, seriously, what are you doing there? You know, if you're not going to fight the top contenders or the champions, why are you in the heavyweight division? Why didn't you just go back down to cruiserweight? At cruiserweight, you know, there's some top competition there. You got Alexander Usyk, you know, Marius Brandis, who's taken the WBC title now. You know, there's the other champions within that division. You know, so there's talent there. Well, they're not big names. You know, they're not the massive names like like the Anthony Joshuas and stuff like that. But there's plenty of competition down there for Tony Bellew. So I don't understand why he doesn't go back down to cruiserweight. You know, you stepped up to heavyweight to take on David Haye. You know, okay, it was a great fight. It was an enjoyable fight. It was an entertaining fight. It wasn't in terms of skill sets. You know, it had a lot of drama to it, is what I'm trying to say. But let's not forget, David Haye actually went into that fight with an injury because there was rumours about his Achilles heels injury before the fight, and then it was proven to be correct because it gave way halfway through the fight. And you know, you could have easily just said, you know, I only stepped up to fight David Haye at heavyweight. You know, I'm not really a heavyweight. I'm going to go back down to cruiserweight and take on, you know, the other champions at cruiserweight and try and unify and become undisputed champion there and take on the top competition in that division. Why didn't you? You know, I don't understand that either. You know, is it because you felt you couldn't compete with those guys? I don't know. I think, you know, Tony Bellew needs a bit of a reality check because you've done nothing at heavyweight to be thinking you're an elite fighter, that, you know, a fighter like Dillian Whyte isn't on your level. Dillian Whyte's on your level, mate. You know, stop making excuses and get in the ring with him. You are not considered an elite fighter in the heavyweight division or any division. Let's be honest. You know, when he was at light heavyweight, he got smacked up, knocked out by Adonis Stevenson, who is considered, back then was considered a top fighter and an elite fighter. You know, he's still a top fighter now. Obviously, I'm not going to go into the whole Stevenson thing. Don't want to get sidetracked here. But you got beaten up by him. You know, decided you couldn't hack it at light heavyweight, moved to cruiserweight. You know, had a few easy fights, picked up a vacant WBC belt, world title belt, defended it once against BJ Flores, who's Flores, who is he? He's not a big name within the sport of boxing. Then call out David Haye, a David Haye who isn't in his prime anymore, a injury-prone David Haye, who, as you know, recent events prove, you know, he continuously has problems physically in terms of competing in the sport of boxing. So, you know, on the night, you beat a one-legged man. Alright, yeah, okay, you got the victory, well done. And it was, like I said, a lot of drama, great entertainment, but it doesn't prove anything about Tony Bellew yet. You know, Tony Bellew at this moment of time is getting way too much credit, in my opinion, and is being well overhyped. You still got to prove yourself to me, mate. I'm not buying all this stuff that Eddie Hearn's spinning out there and he's trying to put out there himself, Bellew. I'm not buying any of that. You still got to prove yourself to me. And if you're going to stay in the heavyweight division, start taking on some of the top names. And Dillian Whyte has just called you out. There's an opportunity to take that fight. I hope he proves me wrong. I really do. I hope Tony Bellew proves me wrong and says, you know what? I'll take that fight against Dillian Whyte. Then I'll shut my mouth. You know, I'll even pat him on the back for it. But fight someone at heavyweight. If you're going to stay in the division, fight a name. Come on. Let's, you know what I mean? Don't stop making excuses as to why you won't fight a certain fighter. Fury's called you out, you haven't answered the call. You know, you haven't even replied to it, as far as I know so far. And on top of that, Dillian Whyte's called you out a second time now. The first time round, Tony Bellew turned around and said to Dillian Whyte, "You're not on my level." What level is that? You're not like I said, you're not an elite fighter. Do you know what I mean? You've made a bit of a name for yourself because you beat David Haye, and people, like I remember when on the Mayweather YouTube channel, and Jeff Mayweather was going around asking people, what do you think is going to happen in the first fight? This was for Haye versus Bellew, and he was asking, and he couldn't even get Tony Bellew's name right. He goes, Bellew. Oh, you mean Bellew? Yeah, that guy. He's fighting David Haye. Who's going to win? So stop thinking like you're some top name or something like that. It was quite funny. Go and watch that if you can find it on the Mayweather channel. It was quite funny how Jeff Mayweather just kept struggling to pronounce Bellew's name. Couldn't even remember it. You know, the reason, you know, your name's out there is because you fought David Haye. Right? And it wasn't, and like I said, it wasn't even an in prime David Haye, it was an injured David Haye. So what are why are you blowing your own trumpet for? And saying that, telling someone like Dillian Whyte, you're not on my level. Yeah, he is. If anything, Dillian Whyte's higher up than you, in my opinion, because he's done more at heavyweight than you have. You know? And he's ranked number 1 as a number 1 contender by the WBC. So how is he not on your level? As far as I'm concerned, I think it's just all excuses in my opinion, and Tony Bellew needs to stop making excuses, start taking on someone at heavyweight. You know, you fought David Haye, you were about to have another rematch with him, but let's be honest, you haven't fought anyone in the heavyweight division to be throwing your name out there as a top elite fighter. That's the way I see it. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. That's my opinion on the whole situation with Tony Bellew. Let me know what you think. As always guys, like, share and subscribe. Until next time, this is Cypherbox reminding you to keep it real.